She filed a complaint about bullying of Sabrina and her mother. That was ignored, and that was already going on the 6th of August. That is the day that she filed the complaint. So the other thing, the OMV money, Corina asked, why is Denise not funded? And they said she's too old. But she was a European finalist, so why would that make a difference? So it was like a nonsense reason. But bad leadership, not reacting to a complaint, which was a serious complaint. Mm-hmm. But it was already, when we were working there were a lot of rumors about Camilla in her past being abusive, hitting children, even that she would lock up Sabrina in Constanta.
Remember, this show is PG-13, so you might hear a naughty word or two. We are back from World Championships in Jakarta, and today we are going to debrief on everything that happened at Worlds, go over it, what did we learn, what people need to work on, maybe some suggestions, as we like to do. Also today, there has been a bunch of Romanian abuse accusations since World Championships ended. And today we're going to give you the lowdown on what happened. And we're also going to talk to Daymon and Patrick, the current WCC coaches, Dulcie Kaler's coaches, and former Romanian head coaches about what happened and their perspective on this, since they lived a lot of the political situations that affect gymnastics in Romania. So we're going to talk to them about this. Today is November 10th, 2025, and welcome to the #1 gymnastics podcast in the galaxy. I'm Jessica, and I'm here with Spencer from the Balance Beam Situation. If you guys have not been to the Balance Beam Situation lately, the joys of the gifts, especially the one about the NBC package they did about selecting the team before Jakarta, full of iconic gifts that shall be used forever. So I thought today we should start with a happy message, since we're going to talk about a lot of some dark issues.
Unexpected.
Today.
Start unexpected with some good with good
news. So let's start with this happy message from Donnell Wittenberg after becoming the first ever U.S. rings world champion. This is what I asked him about after our full interview. I asked him about the things I knew he was passionate about. So here's his message and my question.
I know that you were here during the biggest No Kings protest in the United States. Do you have any message or anything you want to say, since you couldn't be there for that?
I mean, just keep fighting the good fight. I mean, we still have some things we need to solve in the country, but with everybody's support, we're gonna just keep pushing forward.
And then he shows his gold medal. Yeah, so stoked for him. I didn't know he was the first U.S. ever rings gold medalist. I just assumed someone.
Yeah, you assumed someone in like the Tim Daggett era would have won or something. Yeah,
like the 80s, like someone would have won, or someone with giant biceps. But it's Donnell, and it's so awesome. I'm so stoked for him. I'm still waiting for Baltimore to throw him a parade.
Where's the parade? Yeah,
like what? Yeah, or have him run out of the Ravens tunnel, all the things that they do there. Or swim with
Like, is Donnell Wittenberg Day too much to ask? I don't think that's too much to ask.
No, Baltimore, you need all the wins. So he gave you one. So I'm waiting. Let's get into what's going on with Romania, because it wouldn't be a major gymnastics competition if we didn't have Voinea family situations and drama like we did after the Paris Olympics, but these are very different. So first, Spencer, let's talk about Denise Golgota and who she is, the importance that she plays in the Romanian gymnastics history. Can you set the stage?
Oh, sure. Golgota turned senior in 2018 and was one of the strongest gymnasts on the Romanian team in that quad leading up to the 2020 Olympics, competed in 2018, 2019, took an extended hiatus from elite gymnastics after 2019. That was her last competition year. Came back this year in 2025, competed at the European Championships, was on the team for the World Championships, and then post-World Championships made a complaint against, is it specifically the Voinea family, or is it just the Romanian Gymnastics Federation?
It's both. Well, she didn't name who...
Yeah, that's kind of the clarification I wanted to get in there.
Yeah, she didn't name exactly, but it's definitely against the Federation, too, for not taking bullying claims seriously. So, basically, she said that there were threats of violence made against her and that other gymnasts informed her that a person repeatedly threatened to, quote, punch her in the face until she was disfigured and would require plastic surgery. And those accusations are from Golazo.com. We don't have to really guess who she's talking about because Kamila Voinea, who is a compatriot of Nadia Comaneci and competed in the glory days of Romanian gymnastics, winning a lot of things. Those are the only glorious things about those days. Because there's a great book called Nadia and the Secret Police, which details everything that happened during that era and how much abuse there was. And I highly recommend it. And we have a 2-part interview with the author of that book, which is also a must listen if you want to, if you are a true gym nerd and need to know the real history of how gymnastics was born and got to this level. That is a must read and must listen. So Kamila Voinea, her daughter is Sabrina Voinea, who was famously part of the Olympic bronze medal incorrect out of bounds situation. So that she got a deduction for going out of bounds. She didn't really go out of bounds, but her mom, Camilla, her coach, did not put in the correct inquiry. They could have been fixed and she would have been the bronze medalist, but she missed her shot to put in the inquiry, and therefore the bronze medal went to Ana Barbosu. Kamila Voinea, we don't have to really guess that she is the person that Golgota is talking about, because she and the father of Sabrina Voinea, the gymnast, have gone on every single website, Facebook, everywhere, posting comments about how people are trash and none of this stuff is true, and making it very clear that they are the ones that this complaint is made about, and also saying that they will sue Golgota and anyone else that comes out with complaints about them. And we have many complaints that have started since the story about Golgota going to the federation and asking for protection against this kind of bullying and these kind of threats. Many more gymnasts have come out about their experiences of abuse being coached by Kamila Voinea. So another gymnast recounts brutal abuse by including beatings, humiliation, and years of fear. We called the locker room the chamber of terror, she says. Quote, "We call the locker room the chamber of terror. You didn't walk out of there, you crawled out of there." She threatened, "If you go back to the gym and cry, I'll beat you again." Voinea denied the accusations, calling them lies and old expired cases. Another said Camilla would take her into the locker room, hold her by the sides of the hair, bend her over, and then knee her in the face until she broke her nose and her nose was bleeding. So since then, Kamila Voinea has said that she won't pursue legal action against anyone, and we are now waiting for the Romanian Federation president to make a ruling on this bullying. Parts of this also had to do with funding and which gymnasts were getting funding and which gymnasts, like the Golgota, who had done very well, was not getting funding compared to other people. The current president, the problem is that potentially the problem is that Suchu, the current president, he is the wedding godfather. It's different than in the US where your godparents are like the person that takes care of your kid if something happens to you. He's the wedding godfather of Voinea. So has a special relationship with this family. So should definitely recuse himself, not be involved in this, and have an outside organization, preferably maybe not in Romania at all, decide on what should happen and if there should be sanctions. And those accusations are from Golazo.com.
And Kamila Voinea has now said that she will no longer comment publicly on Denisa Golgota's accusations while the Federation investigates, citing confidentiality and impartiality, and urged others to show restraint and caution.
We are going to talk to Patrick and Daymon, who were the Romanian head coaches when Romania made it back as a team to the Olympics in 2024. They have now moved on to coach where Simone used to do gymnastics at WCC, owned by her parents. They coached Dulce Kaler. They were Ithora's coaches. They also coached in Austria. It's funny going to watching them at Worlds. If I want to find someone, I always just get my binoculars out and I look at where one of them is sitting, and then I can find there's always someone from another federation over there talking to them, like Australia, France, England, like anywhere, like they're all talking. And Patrick has been a trainer for the FIG for artistry, and both of them come from the theatre And this is how they met and the background they come from, which is why they understand the artistry deductions so well. This interview was recorded on November 7th, but we have an update. So the new Romanian Federation president, Sociu, says that the Voineas and Golgota no longer train together. For everyone who wants a deep dive on the Romanian drama that's going on and how it got to this point, the next 30 minutes is your dream come true. In this interview, they're going to discuss some abuse allegations against Camila Voinea, that's Sabrina's mom. And I followed up with Patrick and Daymon to ask if these rumored abuses had been reported to the Federation. Patrick said they were told the abuse allegations had been reported many times before they arrived in Romania. In case you aren't familiar with Romanian gymnastics, I want to give you a little guide. So Maria Batang and Octavian Belu were the head coaches of the Romanian gymnastics team for all of the glory years of Raducan and Panor and a zillion medals. Gina Gogin is a gymnast and coach who has 20 Olympic and world medals. Anna Barbosu, of course, the Paris Olympic bronze medalist on floor after Jordan Childs lost her bronze medal appeal from CAS. Now, Stanford gymnast who taught herself English by watching cartoons. So I can't wait to watch her this year at Stanford. OMV money, when they talk about that, that's the oil and gas company that funds Romanian gymnastics. And Donatella is, of course, Donatella Sacchi, the Women's Technical Committee president at the FIG. Okay, here we go. I wanted to ask you guys on the show because there is a lot of drama going on with Romania because, it wouldn't be a World Championships or an Olympics if there wasn't some Voinea drama going on. And then also because I wanted to know about your experiences with this World Championships. So first, let's start with Romania. You guys were the head coaches. You got the team back to the Olympics. But I know that there was a lot that went into that. Can you tell me your perspective on what is happening right now, and if any of this surprises you, the accusations against the Voinea family?
Okay, so it is quite a long story, and there are no surprises here at all.
In Romania, every day is a new drama and a new crisis.
For sure, never a dull moment in Romanian gymnastics. That for sure applies. So as you know, I started on the 1st of January 2023, Daymon came in 6 months later. And then already from the start, there was drama that Gina Gogin, she was asked actually before me to be the head coach. She didn't want to because I got first a job as a junior coach. But the week before I started, I was asked, we want you now to be the senior coach and have the task to bring the Romanians back to the Olympic stage, because that is what I told them, that I wanted to do that, but then it was all a bit up in the dark. So, okay, junior, no problem. I will work with juniors. So I came there, started, half of the team was injured, but there was a miserable atmosphere. Gina Gogin tried to be in the lead, tried to overpowering me basically with everything. She is a big name in Romania. She knows a lot of people. She is in that circle of Maria Bitang, Alex Zoy, all these people that really support old school gymnastics. While
let me remind people that Alex Zoy is the journalist that we've talked about many times on the podcast, who said the horrible curse word to Anna Barbosu in the mixed zone, and then was finally, after the Olympics, was banned by the FIG and can no longer have a credential, but is also part of the Romanian Olympic Committee.
Yes, she can no longer have accreditation until further notice, and her official job at the Romanian National Olympic Committee is she is the spokesperson of that Olympic Committee. So they have a banned spokesperson. So, yes.
It was at World Championships, by the way.
Everything is possible in Romania.
Yeah, she was there with a credential in the VIP area, and I was like, wait, she's...
I don't know how, but yeah, she was.
Yeah. So started working in Romania. Gina wanted to overpower everything with her little circle of old school people. And I really believe that Carmen Chita Constantin and Ingrid Estrate, the president and the vice president, really did a good job. They saw we need to change something. They saw we need modern gymnastics in Romania. And so they brought me in Corina Morosan in, who worked 15 years in United Kingdom, and later they brought Daymon in. Now, and the first drama was already, of course, at the European Championships in Antalya in 2023, where basically Sabrina Voinea claimed an all-round spot. Or actually, it was her mom who claimed the all-round spot, while actually she has no business on bars, which we also could see at that European Championships, because she scored at least a very low score and she had a very bad fall and it looked very uncontrolled. The problem was that she played the game further than the federation. So the federation was, no, Patrick is the head coach, he decides. So they went to the Minister of Sport, they went to the NOC, they went to their circle of Octavian Belu, who is in the executive commission of the Romanian NOC, and basically it was overruled, and I had to go to Andrea Preda and tell her, you are not in the lineup because of politics. And that point was also my decision. After European Championships, I quit. Because I cannot deal with this, that first of all, you're not going to qualify an Olympic team if we have like politics decisions, who's going to make lineup, that is really going to jeopardize the team results. Because by then, everybody knew, or like we knew, if we're going to make a chance, it's going to be place 11 and 12. It's not going to be place 5 that we're going to qualify with. So there is no margin to have things like that happening. So I said, I cannot fulfill the goals if this is what it is. Plus, I find it very unpedagogical to have to say to an athlete, you're not in the lineup. Well, everybody knows she's the better athlete and belongs in that lineup. Mm-hmm. So I handed in my notice, and the team did well at European Championships because they were still 5th. Calculation analyzed, you could see they have a chance to qualify top 12, but you need to have the right team. So a week later, Carmen Chita, the president of the federation, called me back.
And, no longer the president, but
yeah, at the time called me back and said, we really want you to continue. I said, yeah, but I do have terms. She said, put them on the table. So I had several terms of conditions under which I would come back. And the one was, Federation's going to apologize to Andrea Preda, because this can never, ever happen again. Secondly, Gina Gojan, I am not going to work with her because I get the creeps of her, because she's old school gymnastics, she manipulates, she's not nice to the girls don't like her, etc., etc. Third, Daymon is coming in and he's going to replace Gina. And I had more terms. We train a lot of outside Romania because there was so many bad press, so many bullying in the press for Anna Barbosu that she wanted to quit, but also Andrea wanted to quit. So it was like, I have 2 team members here who we do need to have in the team who are now want to quit because of bad press, because of bad management, bad leadership, and this need to change. So we want to take them out of that negative environment, train outside. And the first camp was Chemnitz. That was basically the kickoff for me coming back 2 weeks later after a European Championships, that we trained 6 weeks in Germany. And I said, we need Andrea and Anna there. And the goal for that camp is try to find your inspiration in gymnastics back. Try to find your love back. And if that doesn't work and you want to go home, you can go home at any time. So that was a little bit the deal. Now, slowly but surely, they loved gymnastics again. We had a great time. Daymon came in, they loved Daymon, and both we were like with the training team there. It was shortened to Florine, Corina, Daymon, and me, and that was the team that we brought to Paris. But Sabrina and her mom were not part of that team. They were training outside. They were
always welcome to be, but they always decided they wanted to train.
Yeah, so they have never played the role of team player. They always went for themselves. So it was already, the rumor went already a little bit in 2023, the World Championships, that they did not want a team to qualify. They wanted to qualify on their own. So we were a little bit afraid, what is going to happen, because they will not be in the bar lineup. And she advocated for that again. It's very clear. We need a 13 average on bars, we need to have 313s to be able to qualify to the Olympics. You can calculate it up front. Sabrina has not scored that yet, but you, as her coach, are 100% in control if Sabrina is going to score that 13 or not.
And we had that conversation months before.
Months before, but she tried again at the championships before podium training. So I said, just make sure that she scores that 13, and we will have a judge during podium training, and may the best one be in the lineup. So very fair and square. Now, she did not even touch the bar in Antwerp, because I think she knew already up front she's not going to score that 13. So she let that one go. So which was actually good, because at the end of the day, we qualified and it was a big celebration.
But tell me, we were just talking about this because something kind of similar happened at this World Championships where Deng, who's a vault specialist from China, is 26. She's amazing. She quit and came back, and fans love her. So excited. Great vaulter. Yeah. And she had something, we still don't really know what happened. And she hit the board and then just had to basically jump over the vault. And was so upset, and then got a DNS. Yeah. But you had a similar situation with Sabrina happen in Antwerp.
So we'd already sort of talked about scenarios that could happen before the competition, because we did. Sabrina and Camille did not train with us, so we were thinking about all different scenarios that could happen, and we knew that Sabrina was not going to do bars. So where would motivation be? And we already talked about the possibility of her doing a 0. That could happen. And then when it happened, we were not completely surprised, but did it happen on purpose? We can't say definitively, but there are rumors that people had heard that was going to happen, that was their plan. I wish I could say definitively that
did not happen.
That did not happen, but we don't know. But it was something we'd already talked about as a team that was a possibility.
So if you look now back on the video, because the video is still there on YouTube. So basically what you see, that same happened as with the Chinese girl. They run, they hit the board, and they don't jump. Or jumps over the table in the Chinese case, but Sabrina put her foot on the springboard and runs past the table. That means you have a 0 vault. As soon as you hit with your feet the springboard, you're vaulting. Then Sabrina walks back, and Mom comes from the other side next to the podium. But it was already decided that as soon as Sabrina had jumped, because she has vaulted because she was the last vaulter, Camilla should change in the changing zone, which was at the end of the vault mats, to have Corina coming into the arena, because Corina was rotating with the girls to bars. But you can see...
So this is switching credentials. So
you
want to have your own personal...
But if you now look back, you can see that for sure Camilla is not happy that Sabrina didn't vault. So she's like old school Romanian style, you made a mistake, I'm going to ignore you. So I walk past you and you're on your own, good luck. And it looked also clear to me that Sabrina did not know what to do, because she doesn't know the rules. She doesn't know if I touch the board, I cannot vault again. So she stands there not knowing what to do. And at some point, she just jumps off the podium and walks away, because Mom is on the other side of the arena in the changing zone. So this was also a very iffy moment. And the reason why she walked back on the podium and did not go down yet, because she was supposed to do 2 vaults. Mm-hmm. So that is the reason why she went back to the first, and then, I don't know.
The end of the runway.
So my gut feeling says she did not do it on purpose. Mm-hmm. But there are a lot of rumors that she does. Anyway, then you got the whole... Of course, again, drama. We had the whole drama in the mix zone with Anna Barbosa and Alex Zoy, but we also had the press and Alex Zoy and Bitang and Voinea and all their supporters.
And Catalina Ponor that same day.
Catalina Ponor with and Daniela Shilovas. Don't rule her out.
Wait, what happened? Can you remind people what happened with Shilovas and with Ponor?
Now, Shilovas was actually quite nice to us in the beginning, because she was there as a guest. So she was going through trainings, and then I already in training was, I don't like this because you are filming our girls, and I see you putting on your WhatsApp that you send these videos to people. And I did not like that at all, but okay, she was friendly, she was a guest of the FIG, so okay, let it slide. It's in the category minor problems. So at some point we have podium training, Anna Barbosa is standing ready for vault, and there walks Catalina Polor as the FIG athlete representative in the arena next to the podium, trying to coach Anna Barbosa. Anna Barbosa doesn't know Catalina Polor. Don't forget that. She might be a legend in Romania. Anna Barbosa never trained with her. She's way younger. She was not even born when she was around, etc.
But it was also in a very negative, cynical way she was talking to her.
And then she was like, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to do a 1.5 tuck or 1.5 layout? Because your legs are really bent. Now, this was all a bit nasty. And Anna told Corina in Romania, Corina told me, and after the podium training, I went to Donatella. I said, Donatella, this is in the category minor problems. It's not a big deal, but I just want you to know this happened, and she is your responsibility because she is the athlete rep, and I think coaches should coach, and the athlete rep should be there for the athletes if they have a question to her. It's not up to the coach, to the athlete rep to coach the girls in the arena. That's all, nothing more, nothing less, minor problem. Now, that was really made big in the Romanian press, and then 2 days later, Donatella came to me. She said, I want to talk to you and Catalina together. So we were at, there was like, I don't know, it was like a seminar or something. And then she took us aside and they said, Donatella, I told you from the beginning, for me, it's not a big deal. I have not talked to the Romanian press. I have not talked to any press. I just came to you. And then Catalina says, yes, I also did not talk to the press. Now, hello. She's been talking only to the press. But this is exactly Romania. They like lie in front of you like there's no tomorrow. Lying does not exist. So that is what she did. And it was big in the press. I think it didn't help her. I think it didn't help her image. Oh, she was on TV for like a 1.5 hour interview about it or so.
I mean, yeah, we covered that after Worlds because there she was on TV and I was like, okay, what is she talking about? And this is when I, got the information. But I was like, it's so inappropriate for the athlete rep to go on TV and for 45 minutes complain about an athlete.
After Donatella had said, any bad press for the sport is bad press for the sport. I don't want to see it. Yeah. And that's a shame because there was enough bad press as it was. And yeah, let's try to make this a bit more positive. That was a shame that it had to be negative.
So who's the new athlete rep in the FIG?
It's still
Felipa Martins, no? Yeah,
oh,
no,
Felipa.
But Felipa Martins has been elected, what I heard. Now, could we not, is it not the best news ever?
Yeah.
That we have like an adult athlete who is very sympathetic, at least that is her image.
Smart and positive and
studied.
Awesome, yeah.
Kind.
That is what gymnastics need. Girls like that, because there are so many girls that are now doing gymnastics from an older age and they went to university and they have seen the world. That is what we need. Yeah. So I think this is like the
good step in the
best step in the right direction. So
yeah,
that was a little side street. So let's continue with the Romanian drama. So after Worlds, we qualified. Then finally, we got the support of the Olympic Committee because we didn't get that until the week before Worlds because they were not believing in us and it was only Sabrina who could do something. And it was all egos because Octavian Belu is in the executive committee of the Olympic Committee, and I had to do a presentation why we should get funded. The boys were already approved while they finished 22nd at the European Championships. Sabrina was already approved that she would get funding because they trained separate from the Deva girls. And we did not get funding.
Even though you qualified to the Paris Olympics as a team?
No, it was just before the World Championships. So we finished 5th at European Championships. The boys finished 22nd and got funded, and we finished 5th and we did not get funded because
only Sabrina did.
Well, that whole meeting, that was one big joke. I spent like a whole week making a perfect presentation, everything calculated up front and statistics and the whole shabam, and it was wiped off the table like who do you think you are? You are from the Netherlands. You don't know anything about Romania. And then I said, probably quite naive, yes, but yes, we are very inspired with Romanian gymnastics because you did great things. But your last World Championships, you finished 22nd with the team and Netherlands finished 6th. So there is something going on in the West that you might want to learn from that you can use in Romanian gymnastics nowadays. Now, when I said that, Jessica, it was like a bomb exploded in that building. And it was like really persona non grata from there. Yeah. And it was denied. No, we're denying you. And then when they, of course, saw a week before World Championships, and we had several qualification competitions, and you could see the scores, that, hey, probably they might have a chance to qualify. So we better start funding them because otherwise we are not part of that winning team. So they funded us, we qualified, and then went on from there. And then that whole period between the Worlds and Paris, we did not really see Camila and Sabrina because they were training separate. Camila basically has always been nice to us, to our faces, but also does really weird things in the press. You know, like Sabrina wins a World Cup in Doha, and then in the Romanian press, she says, Sabrina is world champion. Huh? Weird. She gets all the funding. She gets the support of Maria Bitang. For the Deva girls, was much more difficult. But I do have to say, the Cesare, the Olympic Committee, that's called the Cesare in Romania, they did provide us with new equipment in Izvorani. They did upgrade the gym, and people in the committee start saying, we're really appreciative of what you guys are doing because this is what Romania needs. It's just not, a lot of people do not want to admit it. Mm-hmm. So that was that. So after the Paris Olympics, what you need to know, there are new elections. Carmen Chita already said the president was already, I'm not going to continue. For me,
and
this
she's
is
the one
end.
who basically was inspired to bring Western philosophy of our coaching styles to Romania.
Ingrid Estrada, the vice president, wanted to take over, so she was up for election. But also up for election, there she is again, Gina Gojan with her supporters. Now, and what happened? Ingrid did not get elected. Big political game, of course. And then it was Gina Gojan as vice president and Johan Suciu, who's also an Olympic champion, I think, with the boys, or an Olympic medalist, is the president. Now, and since then, it's one big mess. So, first of all, Gina is now in charge of the OMV money, but Gina was pushed out by the parents, by the athletes, by Corina, and it was one of my terms, I'm not going to continue with her. So now everybody in Romanian gymnastics who are in the national team, which are 4 different places where the national team trains. You have Lia in Bucharest. Lia is the name of a gym. Corina trains there with 4 girls, Amalia Giguarte, Mara Czeplinski, then Denise Golgota and Maria Miaescu. They train with Corina. In the same gym, Sabrina and her mom train. Then you have the girls in Deva and you have the girls in Constanta. Everybody gets funded, but not Denise Golgota and not Maria Miaescu and not their coach, Corina Morsan. Amalia Giguarte and Mara Czeplinski do get funded, but they were former gymnasts of Gina Gojan who did not dare to speak up that they did not want to work with her anymore. So they have the funding, the other girls have not. So this is also like Gina Gojan abusing her power with
revenge.
Just out for revenge. And we knew that upfront that this is what's going to happen. And
that's why we didn't continue.
And that's why we did not continue, because we were like, if Carmen is not going to re-elect it, there is no chance, because there are so many people who want to go back to old school Romanian gymnastics that there's no point for us continuing. And then we said basically to Carmen, we want to take a break till we know what the outcome of the elections are, and then let's see. Now, in the meantime, we got the job at WCC, and that was for us also a good opportunity. So we let that one go. Denise Golgota filed her complaint on the 6th of August. She did get no reaction at all. So
They didn't respond at all to her. I should have
no,
funding.
no,
I'm really
no.
good. Look at my routines.
No.
I'm going to make a world final. No.
Yeah, so first of all, there are two separate things. She filed a complaint about bullying of Sabrina and her mother. That was ignored, and that was already going on the 6th of August. That is the day that she filed the complaint. So the other thing, the OMV money, Corina asked, why is Denise not funded? And they said she's too old. But she was a European finalist, so why would that make a difference? So it was like a nonsense reason. But bad leadership, not reacting to a complaint, which was a serious complaint.
Mm-hmm.
But it was already, when we were working there were a lot of rumors about Camilla in her past being abusive, hitting children, even that she would lock up Sabrina in Constanta in a closet during the training when it didn't go the way she wanted. And so those rumors, we already knew that they were going on. I just cannot say that I ever saw her being abusive. I did see, she was twice on training camp with us, Daymon, in Santichen and in Finland, right?
Yeah.
And we saw a lot of screaming when it did not go well. And then I asked Corina at some point, what's she saying to Sabrina right now? And then at one point she said, yeah, it's very manipulative. She says, if you don't do this and this and this, I don't buy that Louis Vuitton bag for you. Something like that. I'm just making up Louis Vuitton bag, could also something else. And she would say things like, if you're not now doing Asia on bars, I tell Maria Bitang to stop your funding and not put money in your account every month. Like,
oh, that's so Caroli to threaten the athletes like that.
Now, at least that is what Karina translated. So let's be fair, it is hearsay. I do have to say, Camilla has been always nice to us, but we have also always been nice to her. Although with the whole action of like going to the higher power to get her way in an all-around spot on bars at 23 Europeans is of course not chic. That is not what you want in a team, because it's not only that incident, it also divides your team. Right. Because Gina Gojan on her side, another coach on her side, the whole Deva group on the other side is not good for your team atmosphere if you want to qualify to the Olympics. I do have to say that in Paris, she was a little bit better, still wanting to do a lot her own thing, but she was also, of course, happy that the team made team final. And Sabrina did contribute to the team, but she was not the only one. So did everybody else, because we made team final, 2 all-round finals, not being Sabrina, 3 individual finals. So they did well, but it was like a collective that did well. Not only Sabrina did well. Now, the whole thing that she doesn't know the code is also really well known. And we all know in 23 that she tried to put in an inquiry against the e-score, which is not possible. Now, every coach on that level should know that you can only inquire about the D-score. Now, and the list goes on what she doesn't know. She doesn't know start value. So there she has a circle of people around her who do that for her, but who also protect her. So now also they try to wipe this complaint under the carpet. And she says, yeah, statute of limitations, it's so long ago, cannot do anything anymore. That is a little bit now in the press. But you see now, this morning, the second girl came out that confirmed the abuse, like clumps of hair were pulled out of my scalp. And I heard the rumor Sabrina was locked up in a closet. Yeah, it's all hearsay, but I have not seen it.
Mm-hmm.
So that is basically the what is going on in Romania. And what I find really bad of the leadership, Gina Gojan and that new president, you have an adult athlete that wants to come back, that is a European finalist, that is a world finalist.
And you have no team. Inspire her to stay on.
Inspire her to keep going, because she might be a great role model for more Romanian gymnasts to continue to a later age. Because if you push her out and you do not have a team and you don't qualify to LA, we all know it will take at least another 20 years before you have a chance to qualify again. It is over and out with Romanian gymnastics. And it's really sad because it's not needed.
No.
If they would continue the line that Carmen Chita and Ingrid has started by hiring us and Corina, okay, sometimes we had words, but in the overall we could work well together.
What we wanted was the best of the athletes and the best for their performance and for Romanian gymnastics.
And I think there was some words about, I think it happened when there was stress about, can the 4 coaches go to the Olympics? Or do we only have 2 accreditations? And that is not only in Romanian gymnastics, you see that very often also in other federations. Then people start to play the game because they want to go. So they try to get the gymnast in their boat, like if you like me better, then you can say that you want me on the floor now, etc., etc. And at the end of the day, it was not needed because Carmen was an excellent leader because she, with everything she had, she made sure that we all 4 had to go.
Yeah.
So I can only have all my respect for Carmen, all my respect for Ingrid. They were great leaders. They did a great job. And the worst thing that could happen, that happened, that they went back to old school leadership, and you see the hell is loose. It's going down faster than you think. And it's not needed. But how often have we not seen that happening in a federation? When there is bad leadership, then things go down. But when you now see, I don't know. It would be very interesting to see what happens now with Camille. What are they going to do?
There's just a few of the old guard that are still the top ones in power that really think that they can still do it like they did.
Mm-hmm.
They really don't see that gymnastics has changed, and it changes fast. And they think they still know how to do it.
Yeah.
And that's a shame because the girls, they want to be good. They want to go out there and they want to do their best. Gymnasts are the same everywhere.
Thank you so much to Patrick and Daymon. If you are a Club Gym Nerd member, we have had a problem with our behind the scenes feed talking to the system that you get that sends it out to your personal, you have your own personal feed that's just for you that goes to your favorite podcast player. And for some reason, they're not talking to each other. So we've been trying to work this out all weekend. And you can, of course, the podcast and the video version of the podcast are available now with Obi-Wan Cam, per everyone's request. We made it happen. So that is on the website. You just go to the page, log in, and you have access to it there. But just know that we are working, we're aware of the situation. We're working on that to fix it for you guys. Also, we have over 180 videos from Worlds, interviews, routines, and we have a couple more montages coming up. So I hope you guys are enjoying those in addition to our 10 plus hours of podcasts from Jakarta. And we have a bunch of commissions. It's commission season, you guys. The commission season is my favorite. We have so much fun.
Oh, what isn't your favorite season? College and cocktail season is your favorite season. Commission season is your favorite season. Worlds is your favorite season.
I mean, also true. Also, we are thinking about how we can approach NCAA season a little differently this year. We're still going to do college and cocktails. We pick a meet. We watch it all together as a family. We have a special cocktail or mocktail that you can enjoy while you watch and chat with us afterwards, all as a family, about those scores and what the hell, and we'll answer your questions live. But also, do you guys want us to do a ranking that's different? I already have something in mind for a ranking, which Spencer thinks will make no sense, but I want to do it anyway.
When has that ever stopped us?
I know. So is there anything or special, anything that you guys want that we can make it different? We always try to keep ourselves, pushing ourselves to do something a little different. There's like a segment, an opportunity, something you've always wanted to see. If there's nerd data, we have people for that. It won't be me. We are so grateful for them. And if you're not a member yet, please join us at gymcastic.com, the Join the Club tab, because you get lots of extra stuff like discounts on merch, discounts on live show tickets, which, speaking of which, so we have one more live show this year in 2025. Yeah.
That is the current year. Yeah.
We have someone in mind for this who we have been trying to do a live show with literally for a year and a half. And I think the only way we might be able to do it is if we do it all virtual and not actually in person. So if you guys would be up for that, and if it was with someone who's a Olympic world coach, who, if you guys know, I've definitely said who this is
Who
before.
could it possibly be?
Right. And then if you guys are up for that, we can make that happen. Otherwise, we're going to have to put that off again until like maybe March 2026, which I really don't want to do. But I don't think there's a way dates wise that we can make it work. It's hard working with people that are really in demand. Oh, anywho. Okay. So,
And living in different cities, that's hard.
yes. And then we have
Doesn't
to
make things easy.
travel. And
Yeah.
there's no planes right now. They've grounded them all. So, yeah, or another 10% on top of the other 10%. So, good times. So, we hope you
and
guys.
if you've already bought your live show package from the beginning of the year for your virtual tickets for all 4, you already have a virtual ticket for this show. So you're ready to go.
Yeah. Oh, what's okay. All right, let's talk about World Championships and do a debrief.
Yes. So I want to start with overall medal count, because we talked about we have our archive of shows from Worlds immediately after the various medal events and qualifications, going in detail, but sort of an overall look. Overall medal count for both men's and women's was won by China with 7. Second place was Japan, United States, and Great Britain, all with 5. Women's medal count specifically was a tie between China and the country of independent Melnikova, who both had 3 medals. And then the nation of Kalia Namor, the nation of Sugihara, the nation of the United States, and the nation of Great Britain and Northern Ireland, 2 medals apiece on the women's side specifically. So if we want to go into this, starting with, I have a question for you, Jessica, specifically. Yeah. As we have long established on this show, the best thing about winning is immediately rubbing it in the face of your enemies and critics.
Obviously.
It's not the joy of competition, it is spite. That is the most important thing about winning. Of course. When you look at the women's medalists as a group, who should feel the most vindicated by Worlds? Like, who is jumping around screaming, "I told you so"? The most important thing about winning.
Oh, okay. So first of all,
I mean, I think there are a lot of correct answers. I think a lot of people can jump around and scream, "I told you so," but I want to know from you.
So for mine, I'm going to say it's Zhang for Beam for China, because it is the most connections and the most correct way to put your dance and your gymnastics married together so you don't get any artistry deductions. That is how you do it. It's seamless. It's not someone watching at home says, okay, but why are they like flapping their arms around between the leaps and
I mean, you should always
flips.
still be asking that.
So that's the number one. And then
and also just about that transverse back dive. That's some I told you so. See, you all said I should take it out of my routine because it was a problem in 2023, but I didn't. And look who's the world beam champion.
I just made it even better. You're welcome.
I just did it right, and now I'm the winner.
So I think that she can be the in your face. I followed the rules as written, and this is how you win. And also, my beam is amazing, and I do all the hard stuff that no one else can do, especially sideways. And then floor for Japan, Sugihara. To everyone that enjoyed or laughed at her crazy Leos, which are, I'm just calling them crazy in the most positive way I possibly can. When you create your own line of Leos that are unitards that look like a half shirt with a necklace and jean shorts, you are a confident woman. And she showed that in how she brought it for floor. And this is the other thing. She performs her floor routine. It is a performance. It is theater. There is a story. It's all the things you want in a floor routine. And that's another one where I'm like, oh, the rules ask for this. I did all the things the rules asked for, and therefore I won. I am the champion. You're welcome. And now she's going to make more of a leotard line based on this. It's Queen themed, just so you know, you guys. So that's the I told you so's. How about for you?
I mean, I think in general, the Chinese program and the event specialist team selection strategy, they get to say, like, we told you so, because they tied with the nation of Melnikova for the medal lead on the women's side, even with Zhou Yaqin, maybe the best beamer in the world, falling in qualification twice in a row, and Deng Yalan and the whole vault final incident, still tied for the women's medal lead with 3 and only competed 7 routines in qualification out of a possible 12, because you could have 3 people go on each event. So you could have put up 12. They were like, no, we're going to put up 7 because this is the specialty of the people we've selected, and they won 3 medals with it. And it's like, you contrast that to the US, and we'll get to like what the US women's program can learn from this world more in depth in a second. But Yang, world bronze medalist on bars, wouldn't have even been able to compete at US nationals if she were American, because there's no one event qualifying score. And that's something the US can look at for an individual world's context and say, what can we do better? Are we encouraging that one event gymnast who could win a medal on a specific event, but is just going to do that one event? Are we, going to the level 10 ranks and being like, Jade Carey, I know you're competing as a level 10, but like, have you seen you? Because you could win so many medals. And she's like, oh, okay. Are you getting that person? Are you finding that bars worker or that just a beam specialist who can do that? Because that was a successful strategy at this Worlds for China. Here are people who are doing one event, and we're a team of them.
And I want to add, like, some people be like, well, look at what happened with Deng and vault, and they brought a vault specialist, and then she qualified to finals, and then something happened, and she just did a frog jump over the vault, and then had a DNS, and did not compete, and so like that was a risk, and then that's where it took them to nothing. They basically wasted that spot, and I'm like, they didn't waste that spot, because that could happen to anyone, including they made it to finals. You can't replace anybody when you're in the competition in finals. And that happened to Jade Carey too, with the infamous trip, the vault of the trip. And so, and then the rules changed. So you actually got a warm up in finals, because before Jade tripped, we didn't have a warm up in event finals, and it was super dangerous. So there's always a risk. You never know what's going to happen. I've heard since Worlds that tons of athletes got sick. And so you just don't know. Like, anything can happen. It's always a risk, but it's a risk not to take the best person on that event. That's the biggest risk. And I think the men have been doing that, and it's paid off, the US men. And you can see here, like, they have 2 gold medals. They're coming back with 2 gold medals, Donna Wittenberg and Brody Malone. So I agree with you that it's individual worlds. You take the best individual. It doesn't matter if you have all-arounders or not. Spencer, what do you think? I wanted to ask you specifically about the nationally diverse judging panels, and if those were if those were, in your opinion, correct. How did you feel about them? Were they doing their jobs? What did you think?
Whether, correct or not, I don't know, but reflective. They were the ones who won out in terms of creating accurate expectations for what would happen at the World Championships. Because we spent a lot of this year, and intentionally spent a lot of this year, talking about like who was ranked well on the various events this year heading into Worlds. Who had the number 1 score in the all-around, who was number 1 on the events, because here's the sense of the new hierarchy when like Simone isn't competing, and the people from the Olympics, a lot of them weren't competing. Here are the people. Those ended up being not very reflective of what happened at Worlds, because I guess the big loser of Worlds was like drinking your own Kool-Aid, like domestic home scoring, just ended up not being accurate. But if you look at, so here in the all-around at Worlds, Melnikova won gold with a 55.066. There were 17 different senior gymnasts this year at various times in 2025 who scored better than that 55.066 at least one time. But the average all-around winning score from the Pan Am's all-around final, the Euros all-around final, the Asian Championships all-around final was 55.010. And Melnikova had a 55.066. It's basically the same. So those events, those all-arounds ended up being like an exact predictor almost of what it would take at Worlds. And then you have, and those are nationally diverse judging panels, because you're bringing judges from all the countries in that continent to judge together. You end up being more reflective of what you're going to see at Worlds than oh, here are all of the US judges judging together. Here are all the Italian judges judging together. Here are all the we're in Russia judges judging together. And also, like we talked about with Sugihara, the only international 14 on floor this year heading into Worlds. She was the only one who did it outside of her a domestic meet in her home country, and she ended up winning the world floor title. So that was telling you, that was foreshadowing. More so than if you were like what we talked about in NCAA season, where we're like, don't believe your own fake scores from the regular season heading into the postseason, because they probably weren't real. And I think Elite had a lot of that as well. Like, don't believe these insane domestic scores. They weren't real. But the scores from the Continental Championships, where you had a lot of different judges from different countries come together, like you do at Worlds, ended up being very real and very realistic.
Do you think that based on that information, and it's very interesting because you have no idea what Patrick and Daymon said in their interview. You only know the questions because you looked at the questions.
I looked over Jessica's questions, but I wasn't there. Yeah.
Yeah. They all mention how this is a problem. And they, in the Netherlands, they used to bring in international judges to judge using the Elevian app, so that they would have more perspectives. And they're like, it's not because we think, people are biased. It's the implicit bias of being around and judging the same people all the time and they're from your country. So based on that, do you think somebody like Jayla Hang should have been on this team for the US?
No, because that was not the selection system. And I think the performances, it wasn't like her performance at the selection camp warranted being on this team over someone who was chosen necessarily. I think it's more looking at, is the system we have in place showing off the athletes the way they should be selected? Like, I agreed with the team selection for the US based on what we saw at the camp and like how the team went together. I don't think they got it wrong in that way. And then the biggest complaint you kind of had about that was maybe Joss Robertson, is she healthy enough? Well, she won a medal. She's coming home with a bronze on vault. So not so much that, but, and I have more to say about the US program, and I don't want to make it all about the US because it's like, there are some other people who had extremely successful worlds, like Killian Amour, who were the star.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and your points here go to the, Italy getting those giant E-scores at their domestic national championships. That's what national means. And then, not happening here. But I just want to talk about the joys of gymnastics being for grown-ass women.
Oh, you do?
And for everybody.
Yeah.
Yes. So I just want to hop back in a time machine with me, if you will, Spencer.
Okay.
To the
I trust you enough to go in a time machine with you, which is saying a lot.
That is. Thank you so much. To the 2024 Olympics.
Because I know you would go back and do something crazy, and I'd be like, you're just butterfly affecting the whole timeline, but I trust you anyway.
But everything would be better because...
that's what you think.
So we're going
never mind.
Going back to 2024 Paris Olympics, and then we're going to check in on the 2025 gold medalists and see what they were doing back then. So Sugihara of Japan was an alternate for the Japanese team in 2024, and had to watch them take Miyata off the Olympic team and not put her in because Miyata was dismissed from the team, not sick or injured. Therefore, they could not follow, or they could have. They couldn't follow their own team protocol, which is you can only use an athlete in case of injury or illness. And because they removed her for some nonsense, in my opinion, that the men would never be removed for, they couldn't put her on the team. So she didn't get to compete, even though she was right there. And now she's a world champion. Zhang, beam world champion, blamed for 2023 beam misses. Miyata, by the way, was smoking cigarettes. That's the thing that they and other things they said they kicked her off the team for. So Zhang, China, missed beam, placed 4th place. Remember that's the weird, the back dive from the side position.
The team placed 4th. Yeah, the team was 4th
team
in the
placed
team
4th.
final. Yeah.
And she had that weird, like sometimes she landed, sometimes it looked like she broke a rib, sometimes she was too far over. It was all sort of like, is that going to get credit the whole time? So she was injured in 2024 and not on the Paris Olympic team. And now she's a world champion and has a lot of experience. Melnikova, banned, doesn't know if she'll be allowed to compete again, considered quitting completely. Not necessarily a victim here, but still faced adversity. And all of these gymnasts in their 20s and killing it is now a double world champion from this World Championships, just like she was the last individual World Championships in Kitakyushu. And then Namor, perhaps the most dramatic of all the stories. So the one with the 2023-2024 medal success, but having to do it through a nation switch, went from France to Algeria and a battle between coaches and the federation, and like they're all the bad guys, and now it's her choreographer who's coaching her. And she had a lot of ups and downs in this competition, but she proved herself to be a true all-arounder and came out as with a which she got all-around medal. And
well, she didn't medal in the all-around. She was 4th in the all-around final, but she won bars and was silver on beam.
Silver on beam and 1 bars. That's what I was thinking of, beam. Yeah, so now she has world champion on her event and then second.
And it's like not just a one event specialist. Don't call me a one event specialist.
And her beam routine also, if you guys want to see like what beam routines are supposed to look like, what the code is asking for compared to what, a lot of US routines look like, for example, Namor's is one to follow.
I feel like I have more. I don't know how to describe it within the context of the question that I asked about like vindication and screaming, I told you so. But I feel like even maybe at no one, the British women's team should be screaming, I told you so about how they won 2 medals on floor. Not that anyone really said they were doing anything wrong, but they won them. And very good, like maybe they're screaming, I told you so at everyone who didn't have as prudent composition as they did. I think the reason I think the floor final was the most satisfying podium for me of the event finals at Worlds this year for the women was that all 3 of the medalists, Sugihara and Ruby Evans in silver and Abby Martin in bronze, solved the problem in different ways. The problem being, how do you compose a well-scoring floor routine that emphasized their own individual strengths? Like, I look at the Ruby Evans routine and the Abby Martin routine. You couldn't give the other one each other's routines, but they adhered to their own strengths. Ruby Evans emphasizing her performance quality and her movement quality and also her ability with twisting skills. Like, most people, I would say, do not put a Randy in your floor routine. Oh my God, are you insane? Don't put a Randy in your routine. Ruby Evans, you can put a front, which is a front layout 2.5. You can put a Randy in your routine. Abby Martin, I'm great at tumbling, but I'm going to do 3 passes, which is kind of counterintuitive because you're like, your strength is your power. You could do a double layout. You can do a double layout full. Oh, you should stock up on a bunch of tumbling passes. She's like, I'm going to be efficient. I'm going to do 3 passes. I'm not going to do any leaps that are more difficult than C. I'm still going to have a 5.8 D score and the 3rd highest execution score in the final and win a bronze medal.
Yep.
And so I think that, I guess it is about, listening to your own abilities and not trying to shoehorn something into your routine that you think is what you're supposed to have in your routine, even if it's not your best thing. And that's what I got from the British floor routines in particular. They're just exactly right for those gymnasts.
And I think also we can point to the British men in this case too, who Jake Jarman, world champion on floor now, and then they have silver on floor as well. Like, they definitely know what they're doing and are getting it done on floor with their insanely difficult passes. Yeah. So I another one to mention is going back to the longevity and experience is like Brody Malone, coming back from he was a high bar world champion, then got injured, had a horrific injury on bars, they basically metal bolted his leg back together, came back in time for the Paris Olympics, did not have his best meet at all at the Paris Olympics, but did his job to help the team, had the experience, of like, you have to have like the grown up there who's follows the rules and is like doing their best. Yeah, that's Brody pretty much. And then you had then he comes back to this Worlds, and this is like the full circle redemption of, I made it there, but I wasn't at my best. Now I've made it here. He had to change his routine and improve a skill to get credit for it to win during the competition, and he did it. And so I liked, we talked about so many federations deciding that they were going to take one experienced gymnast and then the gymnasts that they're investing in, who they think the future is going to depend on them, and bring them in, and how important that was, I think, for the future, because this is a good Worlds to get experience. Weird stuff happened, like, they were rotating early, so you might have been their gymnasts, like Hoops was warming up in the back gym like a lot of specialists do. They don't stay out on the floor the whole time. He's warming up. They walk out, and they had rotated so early that the lineup was already happening for his event. So he almost missed his one touch for pommel horse. So little things like that. And, learning not when you can drink the water and when you can't. These are also important things about going to different countries and traveling, and like the conditions are going to be different depending on where you go. The security is always shit, no matter what country you're in. If you're in the US, if you're at a World Championships, yeah, especially for an NCAA Championships. I went off about this on Behind the Scenes this week.
Oh, did you?
My whole security is always a joke at Gymnastics Championships, but no one's worse than the NCAA Championships. They take the cake. Ironically, the state with the least gun laws, they have the worst security. I just assume they have the worst gun laws because you can just open carry there, but yeah.
It's a tough category.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think you can't open carry into the arena, I hope. But yeah, there you have it. Okay, so
I would just like to give you some credit for not saying that the person who should be screaming "I told you so" is yourself, because I mean, we did have a conversation before Worlds about who would be the breakout star of this Worlds, and you picked Leah Monica Fontaine, and I picked Giulia Perotti, and Leah Monica Fontaine came away with a medal,
thank
a
you so
vault
much.
silver. So, but I just like to praise your maturity in this moment.
Thank you so much, Spencer. I appreciate you very much. Okay, so this is what I want to know from you.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so I want the opposite question now.
Ooh, okay, my favorite.
Who needs to have a serious chat about what went wrong at these World Championships?
Ooh, okay. I mean, the Olympic team medalists on the women's side, U.S. women.
For the U.S.?
Well, all three of the Olympic team medal countries, because U.S. women, 2 medals, Italy 0, Brazil 0. And in some ways, that's really understandable, because the athletes are more likely to take a break if it went great. You're gonna bask in the glow of your success. Flavia's like, I'm famous now. I don't need to come and do the all around of the Worlds right after. Like, are you kidding? I'm not gonna do the all around this year. This is the break year. This is the enjoy the new opportunities that you have year, all of those things. So I think that's really understandable. But also, I think all of those countries need to examine their developmental pipelines and say, we should have now, for some like Italy and Brazil, it's now that we're one of the top teams in the world, one of the most successful teams in the world. That's been the case for the US. Should we have that next generation ready so that when the Olympians or the injured athletes during the process of getting to an Olympic team who would have been on the team, when they're like, this is my time for a break, which is totally understandable, where is that next group who's as good as them or almost as good as them? And do you have enough of those athletes? Or is it you're relying on a very specific few who have to be the ones to go? And are you, fleshing out the selection pool enough? Which brings us to kind of the big question that I want to get into, which is the U.S. women's program in crisis after this Worlds? Okay, tell me about you emphatically said yes. So tell me about your yes.
I think it's not a result of this Worlds that they're in crisis. I think they've been in crisis because the pendulum swung from being so brutal with the athletes that it crushed their souls and bodies, to swinging so far the other way that everyone is afraid to have expectations, to have rules for each gymnast. Like, no one, I'm not saying every gymnast should have a different training plan. You can't have an 18-year-old and a 25-year-old doing the same training. That's totally unrealistic. You can have expectations for them that are different, but that are known and are set. So I think now the pendulum has swung to no expectations, no feedback, everything's up in the air. It's just like anarchy. I know that from, watching Simone. I didn't have to ask her this. Watching Simone at camp, and also watching Laurent, and watching a lot of the older gymnasts, they were just like, this is a stupid waste of time. And honestly, for the younger gymnasts, it's worth going to camp just to be around the older gymnasts who are experienced and have won and have been there. That's just that alone will light a fire and you get excited and you want to improve. But I don't know what anyone is getting out. I have not heard, except from very young gymnastic coaches, that they're really getting something out of going to camp. And I mean senior camp specifically. So why do you have to go every month when you're not getting specific feedback from the judges? You're not getting exact recommendations, a report after camp, and a meeting one-on-one. And I've talked to so many coaches about this for the last 8 years about this. And it has been the same complaints over and over and over and over. There need to be different but specific recommendations, reports. You have to have one-on-one meetings. You have to have the coaches and judges involved with the gymnast saying, here's where you're not getting credit on. Here's exactly what you have to change. Why fly all the way there and spend all that time? I mean, it's worth it to get used to, traveling and adjusting to the time difference and all that stuff. But come on. There's so much not being done that should be done. And that is a huge problem for the US. And the US, yes, is in a major deficit.
I think and this is, borne out by the results of Worlds, which was 2 medals for the US women, which, yes, great job. And I feel like we haven't talked enough about Leanne Wong doing an amazing job in the all-around final and competing a great meet and winning a silver medal. And she's another one who could be like, I told you so. Everyone was like, oh, but those routines, that 5-7 difficulty score, that's not going to be enough. And she's like, silver medal. Where's your silver medal? So she can do that. There were successful moments, but 2 medals, that's the fewest for the US women at a world championship since 2001. So that's a very long time where this is the fewest medals. My question is, so let's say we go forward. We're hopping in the time machine, but I'm pulling the lever now and we're going forward a year and we're in 2026. Hesley Rivera is like, I'm good with whatever took me out of Worlds in 2025. Sky Blakely is like, I've added back vault and floor. Shilese Jones is like, I'm ready to be back. Jade Carey, who's been showing training videos, is like, here, I'm back. They're all on the US team for Worlds. They go and win the team final by 1 billion points, which, those gymnasts can do that. They can be excellent. Are we then just having a completely different conversation where we're like, oh, why is the US program so successful and they're doing so well? And then without actually changing anything, does it classify as a crisis if you can do nothing and next year win a bunch of medals, which is very possible? Not a given by any means, but it's very possible.
I think it's that I think it's a crisis because you have a crisis in confidence in the program and the leadership. And I don't mean the Lily side. I mean the Trident and the system that runs camp. And then I also think it's because you have to incentivize these gymnasts too. There's no reason, unless Jade doesn't want to come back to gymnastics, that's fine. But also to elite. But what's her incentive to come back? I have to go to these stupid camps once a month, and then I have to.
Why would I want it?
For no reason, and I could just stay home and enjoy myself. So I just think, and there just isn't the depth. I think that's the other thing. It's a very shallow pool of gymnasts.
And there's the sense that kind of the thing that we criticize the Romanian, among the things, but like a different thing that we criticize the Romanian program about in the past, where it's like, okay, yeah, Ponor comes back from retirement again to paper over the deficiencies in development. Is it Jade Carey's coming back to paper over the deficiencies in development or masking problems? And I think you have that problem. Where I actually stand, I mean, I'm in some extent having this argument for the sake of presenting an argument or playing devil's advocate, because I do agree that there are some issues that need to be resolved. I don't know if I would go as far as crisis, but I think it would also be a dereliction of your responsibilities not to react to this world and what happened and make some adjustments for the future. Especially when you look at Ashley Sullivan just went to the Arthur Gander event, and you obviously cannot compare that to Worlds. It's totally different context. It's different things. Outscored the 2 British floor medalists at that event. Ruby Evans and Abby Martin were there. She outscored them on floor. She got a 13-7. She went there. That makes you question, like, was the system in place to select the best team? Should you have selected Ashley Sullivan, even though she didn't have a great floor at the selection camp, didn't get the scores, didn't outscore Dulcie Kaler or Jess Robertson, but was there a context in which you would have seen that she should have been on the Worlds team if she had competed at an external meet or something, yada, yada, yada. So I would say, I mean, my biggest things for the US selection process, I think they can make some adjustments there. I feel like it didn't show you a lot of information that you wanted at having gymnasts specifically go to a selection camp. I don't think that gave you information about how these people are going to perform at Worlds. I think, first of all, if you want to have an automatic all-around qualifier to the team, which you do not have to do. Nothing says you have to have an automatic all-around qualifier to a Worlds team. If you want to do that, I think you pick the winner of the national championship is a better representation of who an automatic qualifier should be. Nationals mimics Worlds better than going to a camp with, it's a multiple day competition. So you have to show it that you can do it multiple times. You're on a podium. There's a crowd there. You're on TV. The downside of that is that it's really early. Nationals is really early, and then you're locking someone into a team really early. But the pro is that's more reflective of a Worlds than going to a camp, not competing a hard landing on vault, not competing on a podium, just kind of being there in a gym that's not set up for competition. And no one said it was, going to Flip Fest. They're like, this isn't an arena. This is not a competition setting. So that's part, I think you could say, if it's me, I'm saying, get rid of that selection camp and replace it with sending the national team to the Paris and Saint-Pété event World Cups and saying half the national team to each one, divide everyone on the events and say, okay, this is your opportunity to make your final case. You think you should be on the Worlds team? Go to this meet that's with competition landings and international judging and show that you can get the scores. I think that makes more sense as a choice. So those are some of the adjustments I would say. What did we learn from Worlds? It's that maybe you want to make sure that gymnasts are actually able to do what you're picking them for on the competition surfaces, and that they're able to do that not just in front of the same one single group of judges who were at nationals and at the selection camp. They can do it in front of more people.
Yep. I think it's interesting because we're talking about this applying to like Brazil too, and that was their system. They picked like a group of gymnasts, and then they did go to Paris and Saint-Pété, and then they went to Worlds. And so, but I like that system because you're getting used to it. You're ready. You're doing it. You're in the competition situation right before, which camp is just not like that. Like it's competition, but it's not the same situation that you're going to be in. And it's interesting because we've had, we've done a lot of episodes on different systems of different federations and how they work and how their funding works. And there's some systems like the Netherlands who've had, really a lot older gymnasts who have been able to do medical school, become a doctor, and also do elite gymnastics and win. But the criticism then of those systems, which I've heard back from athletes, is like, once you get into that Olympic group, no one else can get in. Like, it's impossible. And you can get into the Olympic group, you win a medal 10 years ago, and then you are never out, even if you basically don't work out anymore. And then there's other gymnasts who are left out. And then we hear the opposite side on the Brazilian side, where it's like, Yeah, the Brazilians are great. They've done so great. These gymnasts are staying until their 30s, and it's wonderful, and it shows that it's possible. But also, they're only doing that because there is no one else to replace their level. There are great
Mhm.
gymnasts, but they're not there yet, and so they have to incentivize these gymnasts to stick around. Which the U.S. with their here's your $300 stipend, $3,000. Which, if you live somewhere really cheap, might be something you can live off of, but not in many places can you live off that and also pay for your training and travel and leotards, your $900 leotards or whatever. I know you get your free national team leotards, but I'm just saying. So I think like it's talking about all these programs, winning medals
Mhm.
covers up other problems. It was like, oh, everything's great. Yeah, but who's in the pipeline after this? And what did it take to get them back? I mean, Suni had to basically have a kidney replacement, get back to that Olympics. So, yeah. Okay. Anything
not
else?
also, I would say other people who maybe need to have a serious chat about what went wrong at Worlds this year would be the FIG. Because I think there are some issues there.
Yeah.
In a lot of different respects, some more serious than others, but the idea that a lot of athletes from those top countries, like we talked about, were not prioritizing this Worlds necessarily because they were taking a break. That's kind of on the FIG. Like, how do you make this something like this is your event? You want the best gymnastics in the world here. How do you make this something that athletes will want to prioritize rather than I'll take the pass on the individual worlds to prepare for the team worlds and get ready for the next Olympics? So how do you improve that? Jessica's answering my question with graphics if you're not watching along with us.
I'm just flashing how, the winning pot for men is 45,000 Swiss francs, and for women it's only 33, a deficit of 12,000. So I'm just
and that
saying,
means the whole pot, like for all around for the events, like the entire prize money pool, which is not enough for either of them. I mean, we talk about like, oh, the women have not as many medal opportunities as the men, money opportunities. None of that's enough for any of these athletes or any of these accomplishments.
It's like, oh, you win a silver medal. That's as much as your monthly stipend from USA Gymnastics, basically. And this doesn't include the Fujitsu prize, which says it's about they're giving it to the team that does the best, but really it's just whoever. Like they gave it to the U.S. women, and that doesn't make any sense, really. So I guess maybe they're just like, who do we like? Who do we want on a poster or picture, or who do we think will take our system and use it so we can steal the IP of all the athletes? I mean, if you're not, and I say stealing because if you're not paying the athletes for their intellectual property of their bodies and how they move and capturing that data to use an AI and have AI learn from it, then that's stealing, in my opinion. So you could do it on the back end, but it's you don't have to do it up front. But that to me is stealing, which is basically what all AI is doing. So, alas. The world. So
also
yes.
The equipment. We need to have a serious reflective conversation about the equipment because World should be a showcase of the best gymnastics in the world that puts the athletes in the best position to succeed, not an endurance test to see who can figure out this equipment the best. Like women's vault final was the low light of this Worlds. I'm not going out on a limb there. That was the biggest issue, the least pleasant experience of this Worlds was the women's vault final. Let's deal with the equipment. Like it shouldn't be an overcoming the equipment to try to do something that's not your best Worlds. And we saw a lot of that, whether it was the mats or the bars or the vault or everything. And there's always going to be issues with the equipment. No one's ever going to be super happy or super comfortable, but it doesn't have to be. But
this was extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah. And normally the coaches roundtable is a time that it is actually a roundtable and the coaches can say, hey, why weren't we asked about the white mats? Like, where is our say in this for the safety of the athletes with the equipment? Like, can we talk about this? And I talked to Patrick and Daymon and I asked them because Daymon was there at Worlds. And I was like, hey, this is my favorite thing is hearing about the coaches roundtable. And they didn't have any of that this time. It was the FIG telling them things. No roundtable, no feedback taken, which is a big problem. I haven't asked about the men's, so we'll find out. But that's like their one big opportunity to do it. any other of the federations and that you think, or anything else from the FIG? Because I have a lot of things.
Oh, I mean, go. I mean, we haven't even talked about like the Indonesia-Israel, which we talked about during Worlds, but it's a lot for the FIG to reflect on, certainly.
Yeah, it is. I mean, the whole thing of you have a country that says, well, this is the FIG says, and this is what's in the press conference, that the FIG is saying that the country couldn't give or decided to take away visas from Israel because they had too many threats of violence against the competition, and that affects everyone. And I'm like, yeah, you think that hasn't happened at every Worlds and every Olympics? That happens all the time. So you have to be able to handle it. Also, the host selection has to be a country that will actually keep a promise about visas and actually can keep has security protocols to protect everyone, not just one team. The other thing is that remember I talked about this on behind the scenes this week, but I had talked about how there was like a lot of whistling going on, especially when Brazil was competing, and I was like, I just felt like an ick, but I wasn't sure, and it was like this group of like police or soldiers all together that were always there, like every competition, and that then I heard like the Brazilian team kind of whistling, and I thought it was like, oh, they're counteracting whatever's happening over there, and I didn't want to be like, even though I felt. Where you can feel the mood change, and it's like there's a creepy and like, something's wrong.
Yeah.
This is not like a normal. Yeah, I felt the ick, and I felt the like presence of danger from those areas of large group of men yelling things at women. But I also was like, I have to follow this routine and make sure I know everything that's going on, and then I have a million other things to do. Because normally I would have wanted to run over there, scream at them, film it, and then like all of you get out, and then go talk to security. But, you're not supposed to be part of the news when you're reporting the news. So I did not do that, but I did talk to someone who has volunteered at many, many Worlds and witnessed exactly what happened close up and said, yeah, they were yelling disgusting, sexual, gross insults at the women, especially the Brazilian team. And they were there every day, and people just giggled at what they were saying around them and didn't throw them out. So there needs to be... we talked about how there needs to be explicit instructions given to photographers about what is an acceptable photograph and what is an unacceptable photograph. And that was not done at this Worlds. Secondly, we need to have very specific and explicit instructions about what is okay behavior and what's not okay behavior from the fans. Which I feel like we have at other Worlds. We've had this, especially where they're in countries where there's like soccer hooliganism. There are more, and I always think that's so weird because I'm like, it's gymnastics, that doesn't happen here. Like, no one's gonna like, whatever, sing a bunch of songs together and insult the other team at the same time and then break a fence and get into fistfights. But I always thought that was kind of funny that they have that. But then I'm like, oh, we've never had a World here before, and clearly these soldiers think they can do whatever they want because they did, and they got away with it, and there were no consequences, and they were not escorted out from their free tickets by security. They were allowed to act the way they wanted to, and it was disgusting, and that it should never have happened. So I think another part of that is that Indonesia, for whatever reason, and I'm not sure why, they didn't have any international volunteers. Normally it's volunteers from all over the world who've worked at many Worlds, and that helps to have a lot of people who speak different languages, a lot of people who know how things normally go, who are volunteers at these events. This was only people who lived in Indonesia, and then they were all paid. So there were no volunteers at all, as far as I know, at this event. I think if you had people with different perspectives from other countries, they may have spoken up and said, hey, you can't act like that here. Hey, security, get them out. Where in this case, either that didn't happen at all, or it wasn't seen as totally inappropriate and they should have been sent away. So those are two of the big things that I'd like to see in the future. But since the IOC president, the new president, the first woman, has said, Indonesia, thank you, but fuck off. That's just the way I'm putting it. She didn't actually say that. I'm just paraphrasing. They are no longer, this was part of their Olympic bid, and they're out. She said, no, you were not taking, this has put you in the absolute toilet. you are never allowed to host an Olympics. I think that the FIG will follow suit and never have an event there before. So the good thing is that the Indonesian gymnasts have a bunch of new equipment, and that's great for them. They have an amazing women's team who I hope the best for, but they're never going to host an FIG event again. And that, I think, is the correct thing to do based on those two, the visas and the behavior of the free ticketed soldiers. The awesome thing that I want to mention, though, is the after party and the VIP tickets. This was so cool. The VIP tickets, you were the only people that were allowed to have food in the arena. You went into a lounge that was by the upper club seats, and you were in the VIP area where the judges and the actual VIPs were invited by the FIG. Like, if you're a world champion, you get a ticket to come. They were all there. So you got to mingle with all the famous gymnasts. And then you got really good seats. And then immediately after Worlds ended, they had the final medals given. Then there was a party on the floor for all the the employees and the VIP guests. And they got to get on the equipment, do gymnastics on the equipment, take pictures on everything. We would never have this here because of liability laws, which I agree with. People should not be on gymnastics equipment. It's too dangerous and people have no idea what they're doing, except the adult gymnastics group. They know, and they have the appropriate amount of fear and training on gymnastics equipment. And then they had a concert on the medal area, and people got up and sang along with them, and it was so loud that we could not hear any of the answers in the mix zone. But that is so cool. And then it included tickets to the banquet afterwards. So this is so amazing.
You're saying it was worth it.
Indonesia did such a great job. That experience, I think if people had known that's what they got with their VIP ticket, because I know people asked us what was included,
like
because they just bought it and they had no idea. And I reached out and I never got a response about it. So I think if there's another Worlds that has that kind of package, that's so cool. I think the only other one we went to in Stuttgart, you're allowed to buy tickets to the banquet with the athletes. And it was like Oktoberfest style. And I think that's also a good fundraiser for Worlds, because it costs a lot. But I think that's one of the things they did really well. Besides having like the kindest, nicest, most helpful staff there, like everybody was absolutely lovely and great. Those are the things that I really appreciated about it. It was, and when they fed us that soup, oh, I'm obsessed with that soup.
Soup.
That was the best freaking soup ever.
Other thing from Worlds, because we were talking during our shows about Worlds, and I couldn't remember the name of the NCAA gymnast who does a Yejova the way everyone should do it, and it's the best one. And I couldn't remember when we were talking about it. It's Claire Gagliardi from Ohio State, who graduated a few years ago. Best Yejova.
Oh, okay. Are you gonna put that in the GIF clickable total points?
I wonder if I haven't gotten to bars yet.
Okay.
I have to get ready for NCAA season. I've taken a break from that. There's too much.
I know. There's way too much. And next week we have a commission to do, or we have 2 interviews. We have more interviews to do too. So maybe we'll do a mini commission, and then we'll start all of our commissions.
All right.
Gymternet news. Deborah Armstrong has been announced the new CEO of Gymnastics Canada, effective March 26th. Arthur Gander, we talked about. Ashley Sullivan, won all-around. Abigail Martin, second. And Alba Petisco, finally that all-around medal that I've wondered for her so badly. And the vault golds were
she also got one at Euros.
Well, yes, but I want, I want her to get all the money.
All of them.
But so I would like her to go to the rest of the Swiss money meets too. Disco also won beam there. For NCAA commits, we have Harlow Budendek is going to Stanford, and then Tatum Drush is going to LSU. Retirements. 2021 beam world champion. Arara Ashikawa has announced her retirement. This is her upcoming All Japan meet will be her final meet, and I'm very sad about this. Andrade said she plans to retire after the LA Olympics, unless the team needs her, and she wants to study.
She's already put in the caveats, and that's good enough for me.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So my small complaint is you don't start a headline with Andrade says she plans to retire if the ending is not until after the LA Olympics. Like, you need to start with that, because if I see Rebecca Andrade is retiring, I assume that means like she's retiring right now, and we need to have an extreme like mourning ceremony.
Yes.
But it's like after LA 2020, that's ages away. Fine.
Yeah.
Come back next year, be great. Like you need to like people don't have a long enough attention span to read to the end of the headline. So you got to start with like, it's fine, comma. Rebecca Andrade says she's gonna don't worry.
Not yet.
Not yet. It's okay. Yeah.
Speaking of which, I love that they basically gave a treat to all of the Brazilian team. They all went on vacation in Bali after Worlds, even if they weren't there competing. Like Andrade was there, Lolo was there, like as you should. That is the way they should be treated, like queens who get to go on a great vacation for helping the team if they didn't compete. Liverpool, we talked about this. They were bidding for the 2030 Worlds.
Mm-hmm.
So the year after LA Olympics.
2029.
So if they win their bid,
it would be two worlds after, unless we're just canceling individual worlds.
28, 29, 30. Right. It would be one of the big worlds. Big worlds. Oh, God, will they make them shorter before then? Please make worlds shorter. Okay. And we got more details on the mixed event. So the FIG will be debuting the mixed team event at the LA 2080 Olympics, which we know about, and it'll start at the 27 Worlds. Okay. And the events will be the same as we had before. So for the men, floor, bars, and high bar. Women's events will be all the events except vault. And
that's different from Euros, though.
Well, they didn't have high bar, right?
The women didn't do bars at Euros.
Oh,
and we were like, vault. That's wrong, because that's the different event.
Yes.
So they're switching the women's events, and I think if you're going to switch them, which I think it's kind of a fake competition if you're not having all the events available, I think this is better to have bars instead of vault. I think that's better.
The other thing we found out from the coaches meeting is there's going to be the Junior Olympics are going to be in Dakar.
Okay.
Yeah. And then Amari Celestine from Mizzou, who was graduated now, said that she's training for LA 2028. I love this. I want all the comebacks. That would make me very happy.
First of all, I love it because like if you fit like NCAA career is an artificial endpoint. If you still love it and you want to do it, you shouldn't like LA 2028 is a great motivator, but you don't need a home Olympics as a reason to do it, just to do it. But also like rewatching the women's floor medalists from Worlds after the fact, because I wanted to see like, do I actually agree that Voinea just on a gymnastics merits should have been fourth? And so I rewatched all of them with Voinea, and I was like, yeah, I have like quite a few landing deductions on that double, so I don't have a problem with this podium. But I was like, there are 45 NCAA gymnasts who will watch those floor medalists and be like, I could medal at floor at Worlds. So I'm like, yeah, go for it.
Mm-hmm.
Amari, if you could do a whip into that full in, done. She's ready.
Yeah, you're in.
Go to Worlds.
And you'll get credit for your leaps, and we know you can do the artistry.
Yeah.
Yes.
And show those people who are like, oh, you can't do an NCAA floor routine at Worlds. They'll hate it. No, they won't hate it, and it'll be great.
We have some feedback, but we'll get to that on behind the scenes this week, because I want to let you know that we got a lot of positive feedback and letters about the Obi Cam. So Obi is the manager and mascot. Yes, Obi-Wan, manager and cat resident. And we've been asking for during behind the scenes, can we just watch Obi sit and look out the window? And yes, you can, because we aim to please here at GymCastic. So that will continue. It is now set up to go. We will see you next week with more of the Patrick and Daymon interview. We will also have one of our mini commissions while we start the commission countdown. We have so many commissions and I love them, and I'm so excited to talk about them. If you want to send feedback to us, gymcastic@gmail.com. And of course, tell us what you think about NCAA season. If there's something you want to see, if there's a different way you want us to, some segments you want. And also remember, we are working on the situation with the behind the scenes feed. So if you don't have it in your podcast player, you can always go to the website, log in, and then go to the podcast page, the behind the scenes back from Jakarta page, and you can download the episode there. You can watch the version with the Obi Cam if you want to. So it's always available, even if we're still working out the kinks with the feed for your podcast players. So until next week, until Friday, behind the scenes, please remember to take off on gay, split on rights. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on Friday at noon Pacific.